Hello everybody, welcome back, and today we're going to be reading the Slenderman creepypasta. I guess I could start off with the origins. It's just like, it's one of the internet's first, like, cryptids, you could say. Like, it's been around as long, like, probably like 2002, a bit before I was born, shit. Slenderman's probably older than me, shit. Fuck. Well, anyway, I'm going to be reading like one of the original creepypasta stories for him, so yeah, I hope you enjoy. After waking up with a jolt, the girl laid in a bed for a few seconds longer. Reaching over to switch on her bedside lamp, she tried to remember exactly what had stolen her from her sweet slumber. When she couldn't, the brunette swung her legs over the side of her bed and heaved herself up. Checking the time on her phone, she snorted when she saw it was midnight, the witching hour. Knowing that sleep would only evade her, she left her bedroom for the kitchen, a good cup of coffee to keep her mind. As she passed by her front door, a chill spread like liquid fire down her spine. It's only winter, she told herself, focusing again on the coffee plain. Measuring out scoops, water, and preparing her cup kept her occupied. But as the dark liquid boiled, she had nothing left to keep her mind from wandering off. The chill returned, and she couldn't help but glance behind her to the front of the door. It stood there innocently enough, just like always. The deadbolt was still in place, and she could see nothing amiss with it. Turning back to her coffee, she did her best to forget about the feeling. With her cup in her hand, she started back towards her bedroom. As she walked by the front door, she decided that a quick glance out of the peephole would help calm in her restless mind. The chill worsened with each step she took towards the door, and further away from the safety of her warm blankets. She pressed her empty hand against the cold, metal door and took a deep breath before leading her eye to the peephole. At first, she could only see an inky blackness and somehow seemed to swirl in itself. When she blinked in surprise, the void melted away. She wished it hadn't. In its place there stood what she could only guess was once a man. The limbs were long and inhumanly awkward, with bulky joints branching off into several arms, not unlike the branches of a tree. The creature was draped in a black suit, somehow making the thing more nightmarish to her. The icing on the cake, however, was what passed as the hellish thing's face. It was as though her mind blurred the ghastly sight to spare itself further shock and horror. She shoved herself away from the door with the hand still pressed against it. The steaming mug of coffee fell, the liquid burning her bare legs as she fell backwards and tried to crawl away from the door. She knew somehow that her mind hadn't been playing tricks on her. As she walked away from the door, she watched it as the tendrils, as black as the void she first saw, snaked around through the cracks. The girl was trapped in between the instinct to flee and the gut feeling not to turn her back to the door. When the door jolted, the urge to flee overcame her, and she slipped into the burning liquid as she tried to make it back to her room. She knew deep down that she was trapping herself in a corner, she had to get away from the door. The girl was halfway down the hallway when she heard the previously locked door crack open. She screamed and slipped into a wall, cracking her chin on it and stunning her. After that, there was only blackness. "Nicole?" A warm male voice snapped the woman out of her trance. As she turned around, she was met by one of her sister's doctors. She nodded, not sure if she should say anything, or even if she could find her voice. If she did have something to say, that is. That morning, she had gotten an urgent phone call from the hospital, saying that her sister, Lindsay, was there. Before they even let her see her, the doctor pulled her to the side and insisted they talk to her about what might have happened. Phrases like self-inflicted and assault were thrown around, and Nicole felt her mind reel. She still hadn't fully understood what they had been saying until she saw Lindsay with her own eyes. Little sister had been bandaged around her head, covering both of her ears as well as her eyes. They said it was to keep her now deadened eyes from drying out and to keep her infection out of the wounds. The doctors had guessed that either someone or herself had jammed a pencil into her ears to deafen herself or keep her off balance. There was A mix of first, second degree burns on her hands, legs, and feet from what was assumed to be the coffee her neighbors found slipped all over the entire apartment. As Nicole walked into her sister's hospital room for the first time, she thought she had spied the silhouette of a man in the window. That, she knew, wasn't possible. Her sister's room was on the third story of the hospital. Alright, that one's pretty good. Bit short, as you can tell, but hey, what are you gonna do, right? Hey, you know what? I should read another one, see what else is out there. But, yeah, alright. Well, on to the next story. My friend Anna called me and asked if I could come over to take a babysitting job for her. Anna had the lead in the school play, and she had to go to a dress rehearsal. "I can't babysit," she moaned into the phone. "They'll give away my part if I skip the rehearsal." Anna and I both knew that the theater teacher, Mrs. Olson, wouldn't actually give her part to someone else, even if she missed a rehearsal. Anna was overly dramatic about everything. Her dream was to go to a nearby college that was well known for its TV and radio program. The college had its own TV station, and Anna was convinced that if she could get a part in one of them, she'd be discovered by some big Hollywood agent. I never met the family that Anna was supposed to babysit for, but I agreed to take the job. "You owe me big," I told her as she gave me the name, address, and phone number of the family. The Callahans were new in town. They had a formal event to go to, and they needed someone to watch their 7-year-old daughter, Emma, for a few hours. They were willing to pay me $50, and they promised to be home before midnight. Emma was a sweet girl. She had curly blonde hair, big blue eyes. She was just learning to read, and after her parents left for the night, we settled in on the couch of a Junie B. Jones book. Emma was very adamant that I'm not to help her in any way. After finishing the book, I put Emma to bed, and then went back downstairs to watch TV. I found a nature documentary about Marks, or Me Marks, or something like that. I started to watch it. I was only about 15 minutes in when the TV suddenly lost signal. The screen filled with a white static. I was flipping through the channels, confused, when Emma came into the room dragging along her blankie. "There's a monster outside my room," she said in a small, shaky voice. Her face was pale, and I noticed that she was shivering. I turned and glanced out the window behind me. The waning moon was half hidden by the clouds, but it was still light enough for me to see in the backyard. The Callahans' backyard was large and bordered with a thickly wooded area. A knee-high stone fence separated the yard from the woods. There was a small plastic playhouse in the center of the yard, too. Something was standing next to it. It stood on two legs like a person, but seemed way too tall and gangly. The legs were abnormally long. I didn't get a good look at it as it turned into the dark woods, stepping over the fence as it wasn't even there. I didn't want to believe it that I'd seen it. Heck, if Emma hadn't started screaming, I think I would have been able to convince myself that I just imagined it. I grabbed Emma, pulling her close to me and trying to shush her, but my mind was racing. But I knew one thing: I needed to call the police. The TV suddenly flipped back on. The screen showed Emma's empty bedroom, as if it was a camera there or something, set up outside her closed bedroom window. A low, gravelly voice spoke. "We are coming." The voice was soft and raspy, as if whoever was trying to speak was trying to whisper and shout at the same time. I jerked away from the television, scooping Emma into my arms as I did. She was screaming again, burying her face into my shoulder. I remember seeing a landline in the den, so I ran to the next room. I picked up the phone, but didn't hear anything. Whatever was messing with me had somehow cut the phone. Emma clung to me, pressing her face into my leg and screaming hysterically. Somehow, above Emma's shrill wails, I heard a faint tapping sound coming from behind me. I turned. The thing from the backyard was standing right outside the window. It stooped down and was peering in through the window. Well, I think it was peering in. It didn't have a face. It was a blank greenish-gray canvas, as if the face had been removed out with an ice cream scooper. It was completely and totally smooth and featureless. I didn't pick up Emma this time. I grabbed her wrist, and with my free hand I grabbed the poker alongside the fireplace. I ran, pulling Emma behind me. I had to find a safe space to hide Emma, a place without windows that thing in the yard could look through. We'd wound up back in the living room, and I opened the closet door. The closet held neatly labeled boxes containing toys and stuffed animals. There was just enough space for a frightened little girl to stand in the back. I pushed Emma into the closet. You have to be brave, I told her. You have to stay here and be very quiet and very brave. I didn't really have any sort of plan. I could hear something scraping alongside the house. The thing in the yard was scratching at the house, clawing at the side. My mind racing a mile a minute. I couldn't seem to hang on to a solid thought. Are you freaked out? Stammered Emma. It's gonna be okay, I told her. Stay here and stay very quiet. She was about to say more, but I shut the closet door. I turned to the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. The thing was walking away from the window. It was coming towards me. I lumbered along slowly, moving in a snap, jerky motion. Its arms swung by its side. They looked absurdly short in comparison to its legs. Without thinking, I opened the sliding door. The thing stopped, tilting its head at me quizzically. Like it wasn't expecting me to do that. I ran towards it, swinging the fire poker as hard as I could. There was a thick, crunching sound as the poker collided with the thing's legs. The legs buckled immediately, snapping backwards. The thing toppled, shrieking and squealing as it fell. It landed hard on what I guess was its rear end. It flailed its arms at me, but I swung the poker again. I felt it collide with the spot where the thing's face should have been. The thing stopped screaming and toppled backwards, slumping on the ground. The backyard suddenly filled up with light. My heart was pounding and adrenaline flooded my body. For a brief moment, I thought the sun had come back up. I stumbled back, blinking. I dropped the poker without fully realizing it. People were pouring out of the woods, shouting and screaming at me. My legs gave out, and the next thing I knew, I was sitting on the ground. A woman wearing jeans and a t-shirt was screaming at me. She had chunky yellow headphones dangling around her neck and what looked like a handheld radio clipped on her belt at first. I thought it was a Walkman. She was waving her arms and shouting, even though I could hear her perfectly. I couldn't seem to understand her. "What have you done?" she screamed. It's a show, you idiot!" Someone pulled the yelling woman away from me. I looked around. The backyard was full of people. Some of the people were holding cameras and boom mics. Anna was there. She was crying. Great heaving sobs wrecked her body. I remember thinking that she should have been at the play practice. A man offered me his hand and pulled me to my feet. The man explained to me that a bunch of seniors at a local college were filming a TV show for their final project. It was a prank show, like that one sci-fi channel used to air years ago. Someone would call in and suggest a scary prank to play on a friend or family member. The prank would be videotaped, then the whole thing would be broadcast on a show. They had actually filmed a few episodes already. One showed a boy peeing his pants when a creepy clown popped out of his locker, and another showed a girl screaming as a masked man with a rubber machete chased her out of the parking garage. Anna had called in and pitched a prank to be played on me, and she would be the one sending a phony babysitting gig. And then the guy dressed up like Slenderman would terrorize me. Emma and the Callahans were all actors. Anna thought she could impress the students and that they let her have a small recruiting role in the show. The man I attacked with the fire poker was named Jude. He'd been walking on stilts. My first blow had broke the stilts and left him basically unharmed. My second blow put him into a coma. He didn't wake up. There was some talk about filing charges against me. Luckily, that never happened. I had been terrified out of my mind and had convinced that a monster was about to kill both myself and the child. I was supposed to be babysitting. Just a normal job. Jude's family would end up suing the college and her classmates. This happened a little over a week ago. Hannah still won't talk to me. She's furious that I ruined her shot at TV fame. I'm pretty mad that she set me up for such an awful prank in the first place. I can't sleep at night. I keep thinking about the horrendous crunching sound that poker made when it collided with Jude's feet. And lately, I keep thinking that there's something in my backyard. I keep waking up to the sound of bushes and trees rustling, but when I go to the window, I don't see anything. I don't know what I keep expecting to see. I don't really want to see. place seems big. Close to a highway, at least. So, there's that. Alright, I'm starting to hear sounds and shit. I don't really know what to do. How did I even get here? What the fuck was that? Oh shit, fucking shit. Shit. Fuck. Ah, fuck. God damn it. Shit.